What's up guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm Deacon Do Dirty. In my last video from the part 2 of the Black Friday haul, I said that I bought a Ghost Predator and I was going to do a review, and that is this video. Little thing we're going to do a little bit different. Sometimes in my reviews I like to ramble on about certain things, so today we're going to try to keep it step by step of what I'm talking about. Certain things like articulation, the build or structure or whatever sculpture of the figure, the paint jobs, and then hit on things that I like and I don't like about the figure. I've already taken the figure out of the box. Well, technically it's not a box, it was a blister pack like this. This is Neca, of course, but with some reason with the Predators it comes in blister packs. Well, the ones I've seen anyway. And I kind of wish it was in the boxes, like the Velcro cover or whatever, because then I could keep the box in case I ever want to put the figure back in the box. These here, once I take it out, it's basically ruined because, yeah, that's no more good. But the back of it's pretty cool here. The back of the box here shows basically all the Predators in this line. You have the one I'm showing today, the Ghost Predator, the, what's it called, the Stalker Predator, and then the Spike Tail Predator. This one here is actually glow in the dark, and this one here just has a lot more spikes on it, I guess you would say. Other than that, it does have a long story back on the back, I guess, about this guy. I'll focus in there. If you want to read it, pause the video and read that. I'm not taking the time to do that. I don't feel like reading that much right now. Okay, so the first topic we're going to hit on today is the first thing I usually show off in all my reviews, and that is the accessories. This guy comes with 4 accessories, and they're all usable basically. The first accessory we have here today is a machete, or some form of machete that the Predator uses. The cool thing about this, on this side you see that it does have blood stains, so a nice little addition of detail there. Next we have a staff, and this thing's pretty hefty and pretty big. It's actually taller than the figure is itself. After I've tried it out and looked at it, it's definitely bigger or taller. Next here you have some kind of throwing disc. I know it's some kind of weapon. I kind of vaguely remember it from the movie, but you see all those holes there? His fingers can actually go in those holes and he can hold it. It's a pretty cool little addition there. Lastly, the most important accessory we have here is the mask. And this is something different with this Predator compared to my other Predator from Neca, is his mask can actually go on. It's not just for show, but actually can go on and off of his head. And a lot of detail on the inside there. Almost like I said, the inside of a shell. Looks pretty dang cool. Okay guys, so I'm going to show you the figure now, but the first topic we're going to hit on is articulation, because a lot of people wonder about articulation, how much they can move and how much they can pose their figures. So here's the figure itself. He looks awesome as ever, but we'll look at the sculpt in a little bit. First thing we'll look at is articulation. His head does go up and down a little bit. It's not quite on a ball joint. It does turn a little bit, but it's very restricted by the build of the figure. Here on his right arm you have, I'm going to just show you one arm, has a joint there on his shoulder to go up and down. Then he has a joint in his elbow. His hand completely rotates on a ball joint and can kind of bend around a little bit. He does have a little tiny bit of an ab crunch. Not much. It is not moving very much there. He does rotate on his hips though. You can move him around. As far as his legs go, you move his leg up and down, but it's kind of like I said, restricted by the armor. And then his knee bends here, and then you have a little bit of a foot joint here, and it's just on the ankle. I don't think the toe moves at all, and I don't believe the calf rotates, so it's just there. He does articulate, just not as much as your other characters can, or other Neca figures or Marvel Legends. Nowhere near Marvel Legends. But the problem with these figures here, like the Predator especially, is he's restricted by what he's wearing. Next thing we're going to look at is the sculpt or build of the character, and we're going to start from the very top of the figure, and that is his head. His head looks pretty freaking awesome. I'm going to show up close-up pictures of these, but the biggest thing about this character is being able to see his face, whereas my last Predator you could not see his face. You have a lot of detail in there in his mouth. His mouth is, of course, closed. You cannot open it, unfortunately. Now, some of the Hot Toys, I believe you can open and close them, but those are $300. This was $22. You can see his teeth inside of his mouth there. His 4 mandibles. His eyes right there, kind of a gold color with a black shadowing around it. His skin on his head is a very white color. I think that's why they're calling him the Ghost Predator, just because he has that he's very light color compared to a lot of Predators that you see. The back of his head there, of course, you have his famous dreadlock Predator hair. I love this hair, man. It looks freaking cool. Now I noticed something about this one compared to my last one. The last one has like this little thing that comes off his head that's not part of his hair, but almost like an antenna. I'm not sure what's going on there on the last one, but this one does not have that. On his left arm here you have a shoulder pad, and then it goes down to the classic little control panel on his arm that he can destruct or self-destruct himself. We've seen that in both movies, or a lot of the movies. When I say both, I mean the first two, the Predator 1 and Predator 2. Next here on his right arm, you have another shoulder pad, goes down to another gauntlet that does not open, but this is where his weapon comes from. The signature, like, I don't know, like Wolverine blades, I guess you would call them, that actually can go in, like that's the in position there. And then you can actually pull them out. So it'll be a tiny bit longer, not much longer, but they actually do retract. So it's pretty cool there. Here in his midsection, you just basically have his chest, and you have a half a chest plate here. But the cool thing about this side is he has some kind of a trophy necklace. And it looks like to be some kind of, I don't know if it's from the aliens that they've killed, the tails from the face huggers, but I'm not real sure about that. But it's some kind of a trophy necklace there. Down to the pelvic area, you have his little loincloth. Let's call this guy Adam. This guy's name's Adam because he's wearing a loincloth. And he, of course, has a cut there. Gotta be protected. Then, on his right leg, you have a holster. And that holster you see is for that weapon here that I showed earlier. It actually can go right in there and be held right there. So the accessories work well with this character, or this figure. Down to the right leg, but still you have another calf protection there, some kind of leg protector. Then the feet on this character are really weird because they're really big compared to the rest of the figure. And I guess that might either be how it's supposed to be, or just to help the figure stand up, because you know sometimes these figures are hard to stand up and pose because of the weight. They're kind of top heavy sometimes. The legs aren't sturdy enough, so I guess they threw big feet on this guy to help him stand up. Guys, I completely forgot about one accessory, and that is this one right here. This is, of course, the shoulder gun, I guess you would call it, some kind of a laser, and this does attach to the character or the figure itself. I'll probably show a picture of that, but this thing is highly detailed also. You can move this thing around and aim a little bit, not too much, you don't want to break it, but it does actually move around. That's pretty cool, and this one actually works better than on my last Predator kit figure. Next thing we're going to talk about is the paint job of this figure and how it's painted and if I like it or not. The color of the white looks cool. He kind of has some tiger stripes going on his sides here, on his arms. I like the color of the metal. Kind of has a weathered look to it. You don't want a flat color on some of these things, especially a lot of Marvel Legends have that problem where some of the accessories or parts of the figure itself are very flat and don't look weathered enough. The only problem I see with this figure compared to the last figure is the Predators wear like a lot of net on their body for some reason. I don't know if they're into some kinky stuff, but they wear a lot of fishnet. But on this character here, I'll show you closer, you can't see the fishnet itself. You can see the texture of it, but you can't see the actual fishnet. Like there's no extra color there, there's no black. And I'll show you the other figure here in a second just to show you the difference. This is my older character, or figure. See how you can see that fishnet, or net, whatever you want to call it. Definitely stands out, makes the character look that much better. So, I don't know what's going on here, if it was meant to be that way, but this guy does not have that color there. It just shows the texture of it. I don't know if there's something that happened at the factory and they didn't paint him, or if he's supposed to be that way. I'm not sure, but that's one thing that I question. I'm not sure if I like the character, this figure, as much as I could if that was actually colored. Now to the final rating of this figure. Let's just give an example that other Predator I showed you was a 10. Not saying he is, but just a 10. Comparable to this one, I would give this one 3 or 4 points lower. I really like the figure, but compared to my old one, it's just not as good. And the biggest things are, like I said before, that paint on the net, you can't see it. Like I said, not sure that's supposed to be that way, but I'd much rather have it where I can see the actual net instead of just being able to feel it. It does have some cool accessories, just not as much as my other figure. My other figure came with a bunch of blades, some kind of a dagger that goes into a sheath on his leg, and it's just more accessories the better, and especially they look really good. The biggest pro though, as far as this figure goes, is the fact that you can take his mask on and off. That is great. I probably will pose him with his mask off just because he looks uglier and cooler that way, but I'll show you now with his mask on. So here you go guys, this is with the mask on. It makes his head look 10 times bigger, but like I said, you can take this on and off and it goes on with ease. It just slides right on with no problems. And it looks almost just as cool as his regular face. And the metal on here actually looks pretty good too, rusted and weathered looking. And there you go. And the ugly guy is back. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this review, this new Predator. Like I said, I really like him, just not as good as my other one. But I'll probably end up getting the rest of this line just to show them off and to get them and put them up on my shelf next to the rest of them. Guys, make sure if you like this video, slap that like button. I want to say again, thanks for all my support on my Black Friday haul. Like, I got a lot more views than I thought I was going to get. Like, in 2 days, over 2,000 views on my channel. That's crazy. That's over four times the amount of subs I have. So that's freaking awesome. If you're a new viewer here, make sure you hit that subscribe button. I'm Deacon Do Dirty. I'll see you in the next video. Peace.